I would highly suggest, like, if anybody's um, done with the NHL and they got a few years left in them to go over to Europe and just get that experience. Wow.
These elite athletes like they do in the US, and a lot of these academies are doing that, but not everybody can go to an academy.
There's a game like that, you think your life is over. Like, it's like my career is over. Like, you know what I mean? You're 18 years old or 19 years old and lose in your home country.
Fontaine, he gets tripped up, gets it to May, and over the line. He's May going in on goal. He scores!
Welcome to the Overtime with Mayday podcast.
Welcome, everybody, to the Overtime with Mayday Hockey Podcast. I am joined by the legend, the myth, the everything, and the host of this great podcast, Brad Mayday May. What's going on, brother?
Rocco, I am so fired up for our guests today. Loving life right now. Excited to get talking a little bit of hockey, hear some great stories, and understand where our guests come from and what they're doing today. You and I getting back together, had a wonderful Christmas, great holiday season, and I'm jacked, man. 2026 is going to be a wonderful year.
That is awesome. Is that white stuff actual snow back there? What is that? Oh, my God.
Listen, I'm in Toronto, and it actually, my background, it's a little bright. You can't see through the windows, but yeah, we've had effectively 2 days ago, we had a blizzard. It snowed about 1.5 feet, 2 feet. So much so that my snowblower, it was above the actual, the mouth of it. That's how high the snow was. And it actually broke my snowblower. So
You gotta be
that's
kidding.
the worst part, though, is we had to go and get another one from actually my uncle, who was so wonderful and drove down and was able to bring me another one. But literally, I was out snow plowing for about three, maybe even 4 hours.
Man, I grew up in the Northwest Territories. We get cold, but we wouldn't get the snow that you guys get in that moisture belt that you guys are in down in Niagara area. You get so much snow. We never had that. We just have -40, -35. We get up to -50 a couple times.
Rocco,
But
I'm telling you
snow.
right now, with your Italian blood, I don't know how you, even for me, man, I can't do the real extreme cold. I don't mind zero, but I'd much prefer, my favorite day is a 70 degrees and sunny, right? So
I agree.
I'm not really a
Well,
winter guy.
Yeah, I'm not a winter guy. I'm a fair weathered, warm weathered individual. You remember that there was a movie years ago back in the 80s John Candy was in, and it was Cool Runnings. He had it was about the Jamaican bobsledding team.
Absolutely, yes.
And so in fact, I tried out for a part in that as an extra in that. There was a small little speaking role, but I didn't get it. But the scene where he's walking out of the international airport in Calgary and into a blizzard, and they're all sitting there just freezing. That's me on a typical day anywhere that's really cold. Last time I was in Toronto, I froze. It was freezing out there back in December.
Well, you know what? It's different, right? When it's cold, even in the heat, when it's humid, there's a big difference, right? When it's humid, it goes right through me too. Once I get cold, I can't get warm again. But enough of the complaining. Listen, life's amazing, and at the end of the day, that's why we have toques and gloves and wear big jackets. At the end of the,
that's right.
Hockey's perfect time, but I don't buy into the notion that the winter is hockey weather, when half the NHL teams that we watch on a nightly basis are south. They don't see snow often, if ever, and you can play hockey anywhere you want. The nice part when I lived down in Arizona and Southern California playing was that you could actually get a break from the beautiful, monotonous, sunny day, go do your thing in a ice rink, play hockey, and then put your flip-flops and a pair of shorts on when you leave at 1 o'clock in the afternoon and have a wonderful day. So hockey down in the South is pretty fantastic.
Pretty slick. There's probably a reason why the last couple of Stanley Cup winners are from the Sun Belts in a couple of areas, right? It's like why wouldn't you want to go there? It's like, this is great.
So if we play a little question answer here, the original 6 teams, Northeast, right? You're looking at obviously New York, Toronto, Montreal, Boston, Chicago, Detroit, all winter weather. The expansion of the game going west and then going south, when you look at all the teams that have won in the last 15 years, a little more than just the climate, because I don't know if climate is everything, but the idea that the exposure to media and the distractions that you have fewer of those in these nondescript hockey markets: Florida, Tampa, Dallas, Anaheim, LA, right? Nashville went to the final one year. Nondescript markets, so they don't have 30, 40, 50 beat reporters in your face every day, which just adds, listen, at the end of the day, you got to enjoy it as a player and embrace it. But it's just extra responsibilities that you have to take care of over the course of 7 months, wears you down a little bit. You look at the other teams that aren't in those southern markets. The Pittsburgh Penguins have won a couple Stanley Cups, right? The Chicago Blackhawks, of course. But you look at the other winners, they're in these nondescript markets. And I have to think it's combination between weather, combination between those extra distractions, and then the game of hockey, the way it's played, you can play it anywhere. So there's no advantage like an outdoor football game with the Buffalo Bills. They have an advantage because it's home field advantage. Hockey's, it's a little sanitized. Every arena is the same. They're all beautiful. The locker rooms are special. You're sleeping in 5-star bedrooms, 5-star hotel room beds, I mean. And when you're actually on the road, it's sometimes even nicer and better playing on the road than it is at home. So you see a lot of teams, and the home ice advantage isn't as big of a deal in the game of hockey.
Yeah, not anymore. I think it's changed quite a bit as it moves in with, the standard of the NHL and the quality of not only the teams, the money that's there, the money that they're making, the money that's coming back. It's now like a world-class sport. It's always been, the best hockey in the world, obviously the Russians, and now we've got all the teams and the countries playing here. It is the best league in the world to play in, I would suspect. The quality of the product certainly is, but as such, you have to maintain a standard of value for the players, right? If not, they're going to go elsewhere where money is at. And that's kind of ties into where, the World Hockey Association was back in the 70s, trying to pull players away, fighting with the NHL and competing and paying money that didn't exist in the NHL at the time. So that's going to be, that's interesting stuff, right?
You know what? You talk about the WHA, you've got, underneath the National Hockey League and the WHA, you had the International League and the American Hockey League, and then it goes to the East Coast League and then the Southern Professional Hockey League. Of course, the tiers of hockey in North America. That's one thing. And then there's professional leagues in Europe. And then you go, as far as, and I know it's still Europe, but you go into Russia. They have hockey in Australia. They have hockey in China. They have hockey in Japan. Hockey's it's growing, and there's so much more growth to be had. It is really cool, though. We have a couple guests on today, and Derek Roy, who is a fantastic guy. He played at the end of his career. He played in Europe, and I'd love to hear from him today, just of the stories of how his life was over there, because a lot of these guys, not that it's better, it's different. There's a different experience component to it. And then maybe with the realization that you've already had a wonderful NHL run and career, taking advantage of the game of hockey to travel into these other areas or other parts of the world. It's a fantastic experience. A good friend of mine who will get on the podcast for sure at some point, David Booth. David Booth was an NHLer, played for a number of years, Vancouver, Florida, Toronto Maple Leafs. Boother has been playing in all these crazy places. He professional hockey in the summertime, our summer, down in Australia. He's playing for the Fife Flyers now in Scotland. He's played in Norway. He's played in Denmark. He's traveled the world with his wife and children, and he's taking advantage of the experience that hockey can give him. That, he goes in as a hired gun, doesn't play the full season, but he has an experience of playing the game internationally that a lot of us over here, we're not aware of, right? We don't think of the other parts of the world or the European leagues.
When was the last time you had your oil changed? If you're like most of us, it's probably long overdue. That's where the Great Canadian Oil Change in Coquitlam comes in. No appointments, no waiting rooms, just drive in, stay in your car, and you're back on the road in a couple of minutes. Their certified technicians handle oil change, fluid top-ups, and routine maintenance while you have your coffee. It's fast, professional, hassle-free, exactly how car maintenance should be. So the next time your vehicle needs an oil change, head to the Great Canadian Oil Change in Coquitlam, BC. Ask her for a good friend of the podcast, Norm Lobb, a solid hockey player back in the day, who continues to be a supporter of the game we love, hockey. Drive in, drive out, done. Tell them the pod sent you. Set the tone. Check them out today. You'll be glad you did. Get an on-site discount by utilizing the code OVERTIME with Mayday. That's OVERTIME with Mayday. Welcome to the Overtime with Mayday Hockey Podcast. Now let's get ready to drop the puck for our next guest. Born in Rockland, Ontario, former professional hockey player, played in the NHL for the Buffalo Sabres, Dallas Stars, the Vancouver Canucks, St. Louis Blues, Nashville Predators, Edmonton Oilers, who I love, by the way. Our guest led the Kitchener Rangers in the Ontario Hockey League with 87 points during 99-2000. Legend. Won the OHL Rookie of the Year. I think it's called the M's Family Trophy, I think. Last year as Major Junior, was selected to play for Team Canada, the World's Junior in 2003, and helped Team Canada get a silver medal. Scored 42 goals, 81, I think, in your draft year. You're drafted 32nd by overall Buffalo Sabres. Another great team, Mayday. Played in the NHL for 12 years, from 2003 to 2015. Played over 700 professional games, 89 goals, 335 apples. He had a nice set of PIMs, 524. Played in Europe for the KHL, played in Europe all over in Germany, etc., and sponsored a minor hockey team called the Clarence Casters. I love that and need to hear.
Clarence
Welcome
Creek,
to our podcast, Derek Roy.
Thank you.
How you
Good to
doing,
be
buddy?
here. I'm
Hey,
Great
good.
to
I'm
have
good.
you, man. Great to have
That's
you.
actually that interview or that opening is a little obnoxious, like highlighting all his endeavors and achievements. Derek, you know what?
The guy's
Truly,
a legend, man. I
Truly,
missed a whole bunch of stuff too. There's like we just too much. We only have an hour for him. Holy.
Rocco, I got to play in two cities that Derek did, and I would love to hear from him. But Buffalo and Vancouver, and this guy's a stud. They people love him, and the truth is, in 30 minutes, everybody that's listening is going to love him too. Derek, thank you very much for being here and coming on.
Oh, thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
You're
It's
really
awesome.
you really are. You're a gentleman. You just carry yourself so well, and beyond being a wonderful hockey player, what are you doing today? In retirement, maybe we can start there. What's Derek Roy doing? Married? I know you have children, and I believe you've made a move back to the Toronto area.
Yeah, married, 2 kids. One of my son just started. My son started hockey. He's 5 now. He's going to be 6 in June. So he started hockey. He loves it, and it was one of those things where I didn't know if he wanted to even play hockey, but I think watching his dad play and seeing clips and stuff like that, he wanted to do it. And I have a 2-year-old girl. She's turning 2 next month, or in March, sorry. And yeah, it's great. I live in Toronto. Me and my wife we're thinking about moving for school purposes, because once the kids get to a certain age, you got to think about what school they're going to go to. So yeah, so I'm in real estate too in Toronto, and enjoying every day, and every day's a new day, and you get to meet great people. So yeah, I'm living in Toronto. I love it.
Love it. Glad you're here. And now rolling it back in your career, drafted by the Buffalo Sabres. That's where I was drafted as well. Tell us about Buffalo, your experience there, and this interview is it's not time sensitive. So, were you a part of the celebration in Buffalo the other night?
So I'm in Buffalo right now as we speak,
Okay.
which is fun. So I'm actually leaving tomorrow, but Ryan Miller's got a charity foundation tonight here in Buffalo. So we're helping them out with that. A bunch of guys stayed in town after the ceremony they had for us last night, and we're just helping Millsy out and helping the community of Buffalo. Whenever you're asked to do something here in Buffalo, people are so good and so gracious to you throughout my career here, and they cheered us on throughout thick and thin, right? So there's just great people here in Buffalo, and whenever we can give back, all the guys drop everything and come to Buffalo and do it.
And so, and the passion that's in Buffalo right now, with their team being on a real heater, they've come from the depths, right? Like, I believe, and I was one of them, kind of wrote them off 2 months ago. Thought that it was going to be another one of those years. They've had a heck of a run. Last night you were in the building with a nice big win. Exciting to be back in Buffalo, Derek?
Yeah, it was great. You know what? Like, one of my buddies owns a bar here in Buffalo, and he was saying they had function, and people were like, "Hey, do you mind turning on the Sabres game so we can watch it, so everyone can watch?" And he goes, "I haven't heard that in like 14 years." You know what I mean? Like it hasn't, because the team hasn't made the playoffs and they haven't. So nobody wants to watch a losing product, right? So I feel now everyone's excited and everyone's on the bandwagon. Everyone's kind of pushing for this team to be great. And I think there's a buzz around the city with the Bills as well. So it's kind of it's turning into a. I mean, it's always been a great sports town, but I think the belief is there in the fans and the players can feel it.
Well, so we don't have to impress coaches anymore, or we don't have to be worried about what they think of us. Where did you go afterwards? How late did you stay out? Because Buffalo is one of those sleeper towns. For anybody that thinks Buffalo is an undesirable place to be, Buffalo Sabres, and certainly, guys that had the chance to live in this market. Unbelievable. A lot of fun. And where did you guys go? What did you guys get up to last night? And probably tonight.
Yeah, so last night they had us go across the street. There's this place called 120, and they just had a private party for us. Because we had a bunch of guys coming to town, and they brought their wives and kids and stuff like that. And it was great to see guys that haven't, like Max Afinogenov came from Russia, Dmitry Kalinin came from Russia, like Henrik Talander came from Sweden, and like Teppo Numminen from Finland. Like guys are just flying in from everywhere, and it was good to see all the guys. I haven't seen some of these guys in like 15 years, so it's awesome. It's like time never like time never changed. Like the guys look the same, and it's just fun atmosphere, telling old stories and joking around, and it's always fun to be around boys.
Who's in the best shape?
Who's the best shape? I don't know.
That's
Everyone
one
looks
thing.
pretty good.
I don't know about you. You always keep yourself in shape, so maybe you don't even see the world the way I do. But I retired, and I had a lot of fun for a portion of it, and I gained a bunch of weight, and I've kind of got myself back down a little bit, but where I feel really like myself again.
Yeah.
I let myself go for a while. But there are guys that never let up and they keep her going, and you're one of them. But
yeah, I was told that don't take too long after you retire, because you're retired, you want to do all the fun things you never like that you missed out on, right? And the guys are like, don't take too long to get back in the saddle, right? Like start working out, and because the longer you wait, the longer procrastinating starts, and then you don't end up doing it. So yeah, I try to get back working out, and I do that ski with Gary Roberts, and so we try to get our workouts in.
Gary Skate is a legend. I mean, he's a trainer. He still looks great. We saw him at the event in Arizona a couple times. The guy looks like he can still play. It's crazy.
So it's nice whenever you can get a good sweat and with a good group of guys. It's great. It's obviously what we've been doing since we were kids, but at the same time, it's a good workout. So we utilize it as a workout, and we have fun doing it.
Hey, it's good segue right here. So, did you work out with Gary when you were still playing?
Yeah. So my last, even when I went over to Europe for 6 years, I worked out with Gary. My last couple of years, 2-3 years in the NHL. So yeah, I probably worked out with him like 8 or 9 years, something like that.
And so everybody, for our fans and viewers, obviously we all work out. You can work out by yourself. You can get a program, you follow it. What makes it special working out, and what's different when you worked out with your teammates, in season, but you're now back in Toronto and you're training to get better for the next year? Why Gary Roberts?
Well, the fact that it was a one-stop shop is amazing, right? The fact that you have, your nutrition, you have your nutritionist there, you have your food, you have chiropractors, acupuncturists, the gym, the ice sheet was right there. There was a football field where you can do like off ice stuff. So it was just, everything was right there, right? And you're training with the best players in the world, like Davis and the Stamkoses and all those guys. So you're getting pushed every day to become better, and you're seeing how everyone else is developing. So you're like, you got to stay on your toes and keep going, and because all these young guys were coming up, and you could tell how good they were and fast and skilled. So it definitely pushed me to work harder and become better. But I think the culture there they developed such a good culture there that it's incredible just to go there every day and see how many great athletes they produce in that program.
Fantastic. Rocco, what do you got for me?
Well, just jumping on Gary Roberts, I think he does some stuff with the Seattle Kraken as well. Yeah, he's amazing. So I do want to jump in, Derek, real quick. You grew up in Ontario, but it's close to Ottawa, I believe. So Anglo, and it was funny because I was asking Maisie, I said, "Is it Wa or is it Roy?" And he goes, "No, it's Roy." Tell me, growing up in an Anglo and Francophone area or community, because it was lumber, I believe, in that area. Were you a Habs fan or were you a Leafs fan?
My dad's French, my mom's English, so we spoke English at home. But I went to French school my whole life, so went to French high school, and we watched the Habs. I think my dad had a big Habs jacket, those leather jackets with the big logo on the side, and we watched RDS, like Réseau des Sports, the French network, and we'd watch always the Habs would play. And I didn't like the Habs, but I had to watch it because my dad was watching it. But growing up, I liked, when Detroit played Colorado, like those series. I always loved like watching Colorado play, and I thought that was probably my favorite team growing up.
Hey, Derek, so the question I have here is, and I'm married, and I know you're married, so just let's play a game here. But if you're trying to pick somebody up as a young Derek Roy and you're speaking French, what are you saying? How does it sound? Like what was your move? What was your move?
You in French to girls?
In French.
Oh, I had no game. I had no game in French. I had no game in French. No. Yeah, man. Like, it is kind of awesome to have two languages. Like when you travel around the world and do stuff, like it is nice to be able to speak a few languages, and French, kind of like Spanish, becomes a little bit easier. Italian, like you can see some words and very similarities in some words and stuff. Yeah, I always loved the fact that I could speak two languages.
So
never really good at picking up chicks with French.
Well, okay, so we're gonna go in your career. I want to know about Buffalo and your great runs you had, and the rest of your travels. But you played in Europe, and Rocco and I were talking about the growth of the game of hockey. Playing in Europe, your experience over there, obviously the talent, but tell me about what it meant to you and how you felt when everybody else was going to an NHL training camp or getting ready for one, but you have to leave early to go over to Europe and play. Were you disconnected, or was it a different world and you loved every part of it?
Yeah, it was just a little different. You had to start training a little bit earlier than everybody else, and then you kind of left when everyone was peaking. But I mean, I loved it over there. I mean, we had no kids, and it was just me and my wife. So we went. We played in Switzerland, and we ended up winning the championship in Bern that year. So that was awesome. It was such a fun time, and you're living in areas where people are visiting and paying like going on vacation and paying a bunch of money, and you're living in these cities. So we lived in Munich, we lived in Bern, we lived near Stockholm. So it was it was great. We loved every minute of it, and you get to meet all these new people and coaches and friends, and get to travel around the world. And I would highly suggest, like, if anybody's um, done with the NHL and they got a few years left in them, to go over to Europe and just get that experience.
Wow. And so the talent, because you're a skilled player, coming from a guy that played on more of the robust physical side of the game and used intimidation as a real tool as well. Your skill level, high end. You go to Europe, there's a thought, maybe a misnomer, that hockey in Europe is easy to play, bigger ice. And I would love to hear from you how much that isn't true, and how difficult, even being a skilled player, the skill level in Europe and the way they play.
Yeah, so I mean, every league is different. And the SHL is different from the Russian league, and the Russian league is different from the NLA, which is the Swiss league. So every league has its things. Like the Finnish and Swedish league are a little more defensive. The Swiss league is a lot more offense and high flying, and everyone's going and making passes and everyone's skating. Yeah, they're really different, but the skill level is such a high skill level. I think the world is caught on to, they remember we used to play in all these World Juniors that just dominate and always end up in the finals or winning gold every year, and everyone's catching up. And the skill level around the world is really gone up a ton. So it's it's great to see that all these other countries are adapting and changing and getting good at hockey, basically.
It's
Did you watch the
becoming a
World
thing,
Juniors?
right? I mean,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Oh, sorry, my last one. Did you watch the World Juniors?
Yeah.
What was your takeaway, like with like Gavin McKenna and of course all these other players? Gavin McKenna being, obviously the one hopeful high draft pick out of Canada. I was there. I was in Minnesota, and I was impressed with the skill level.
Yeah, I mean, he's unbelievably skilled and unbelievably talented, and he attacks every single time he gets the puck, which is amazing. Like that's what the youth nowadays, they're not scared. Like if you look at Celebrini and some of these guys, they're not scared to attack and to try moves and that's the thing I noticed about that World Juniors team is that every time they had the puck, they were looking to score. The only problem with that team was on the defensive side, where a lot of goals were mismanned for the net or a rebound or not as hard of a back check. We need to start getting that game back in Canada as every game is kind of a game 7, right? And every play matters. Every shot block, every lift of stick, every kind of back check matters, right? And on the offensive side, do your thing offensively and keep attacking. Once the puck crosses the red line, become a little more conscientious of the defensive aspect of the game, and I think that's where we're lacking a little bit, and the other teams are exposing that.
Yeah, if I can jump in, especially about the World Juniors, because I do want to ask specifically about your run as well. The World Juniors, the level is so high and so even on all of those teams, but you kind of go back to what you said, Derek, where these players are actually willing to do certain things now that in my day or our day we would have never done that because there was consequence from the coach. Nobody wanted to see that. Like even when the first couple of Michigans were being done, everybody, don't do that. Right now, people are wanting to see that. It's part of that game with the talent and the pool. But where I think some of the stuff is happening, where you don't kind of build that. I don't know if it's character anymore, but we're building these elite athletes like they do in the U.S. and a lot of these academies are doing that, but not everybody can go to an academy, can afford to go to an academy, right? So that character kind of development of a strong stay-at-home defenseman. Now everybody wants to pick up the puck and score and make a play, right? So there's that kind of jump. But real quick, tell us about your silver medal, because you won a couple of medals in World Juniors. I think you did an under 17 or under 18, right?
Yeah, I won gold at the under 18 and played under 17 for Canada. We lost in the finals, so silver there, and then I lost. World Juniors, we lost the finals in Halifax to Russia. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was unbelievable at the time too. Like you lose a game like that, you think your life is over. Like it's like my career's over. Life, you know what I mean? You're 18 years old or 19 years old, and you lose in your home country by 1 goal. It was definitely a tough pill to swallow, but the fans in Halifax were amazing. The people down east are just great people. So we loved every minute of it, and the fact that we fell short kind of sucked, but at the end of the day, it was such a great experience to go play for your country like that.
Well, I remember watching, like everybody else in Canada, watching that. We were all behind you guys, and even came short, but the you guys played your hearts out. It was an incredible game. You walked away just going, oh my gosh, that could have gone either way at any
Yeah.
time. It was incredible. So proud of you, man. Over to you, Brad. You got something?
Yeah, no, I love the conversation. Obviously, Halifax, what a great program they run with the Mooseheads there, but really cool town too, right? Like, and they've supported hockey. Great place and a lot of fun to be had in Halifax as well. But into your NHL career, you guys had an unbelievable team with the Buffalo Sabres, and you just were able to celebrate with them. Seeing your old friends, some of the guys that you learned from, that you played with, even at the same age, who are the guys that you kind of followed, kind of mentored you a little bit to actually work with Derek Roy, the skill and the smaller player, but honestly, you had the ability to actually, play in a game when it was still really physical. it's transition now, but being an undersized player, Derek, you executed awfully well. Who helped you?
Yeah, so at the start of my career, I played my first year, and then my second year was the lockout. So my first year was 03, 04. And there was still hooking and slashing and cross, like that still existed, right? And holding and interference, like all that stuff existed. And then all of a sudden, like after the lockout, it was nothing. You weren't allowed to like touch the guy's stick. So yeah, so I mean I would watch, because I had guys right around my size like Danny Briere and Chris Drury and Max Afinogenov and some guys like that. So I kind of, what was good for me was Max was my line mate. And you know how Max can just fly, right? So I had to keep up with Max every game. So it helped me like develop my speed because I literally had to keep up with him every game. And every game he'd be, and you know how Max is, every game he's flying. There's no off switch. There's no, first, second, third. It's all full speed all the time. So yeah, those guys I looked up to, and Danny and Drew, and they're such good leaders and captains. And I always just watch them in practice and watch them in games and see how they're scoring and see how they're taking face-offs and see how are they becoming successful, right? How are they getting their scoring chances? And I would just try to find my own game but tune in to the stuff that where people are successful. You just kind of learn from and obviously ask questions. And they were such good leaders and helpful. And Tim Conley was there with tremendous skill. So there was so many guys that you could just talk to, and there was no rookie or veteran or any sort of gap like that here in Buffalo. Everyone was on the same page, and everyone was part of the team, and it was a great time.
Hey, every player you spoke of, outside of one, if I'm not mistaken, were right-hand shots. Max
Yeah,
Afinogenov
exactly.
being a lefty, and it's funny. The way my mind works, I'll never forget that stuff. I know I can see exactly the skating stride of every one of those players and what they look like. But as a left-handed shot that you are, myself, do you not look at those guys the way they move, like the toe drag and snap the puck, that it actually was a lot nicer looking from the opposite side than us as left-handed players?
Yeah, I agree. I always admire like the right hand stick handling, or the righties went like the way they tape their stick and how their curve looks. I think it just looks like a bigger curve for some reason. If you look at somebody else's curve, it's weird if you're looking from the right side. But yeah, I always know my line mates' stick color, their tape, whatever they use. Like I always, because when you're in scrums close to the net, you want to be able to like look to your left, look to your right, and see like, okay, that's Vanek's stick, a little warrior with a yellow, like an orange symbol on it. Then you poke the puck towards. There's so many times that you can do that, right? And that's how I knew everyone's, whether they're left or right, or what kind of stick they used or how they tape their stick. And I didn't like study it. I did just, once I see it, I learn it and I don't forget it. So yeah, that's just the way I was. Centermen are smarter though than wingers. Let's be honest.
Well,
You got to be you got to be the smart guy. You got to be the smart guy on the line.
You know what? Seriously, wingers, it's very simple. Like I always like to get in that argument, but to be quite honest with you, we skate, shoot, hit, and just play our position. You guys have to, as centermen, you really have to be a lot more versatile, lot more responsibility in different parts of the ice. Of course, when you have the puck on your stick, you do whatever you want.
Yeah.
On the offensive side.
Yeah.
But,
and
for
try
you
having
centermen, you guys have a lot of responsibility.
Yeah, try having Thomas Vanek on one that speaks Czech and Austrian, and then a Russian, Max Afinogenov, on the other side that speaks Russian, and then they're yelling at each other, and you got to divide them and stop them from fighting each other. So yeah, those were
Did you give them any?
those were good times.
Did you give them any tabernacasties?
Oh no, I was putting out fires left and right. That was my job. Yeah,
That's awesome.
How about Vancouver? Rocco lives in Seattle, and we do a lot of stuff, Rock and I. But he lives in Seattle. He's up in Vancouver a lot with his real business. But tell us about Vancouver. I got traded from Buffalo to Vancouver, and I got drafted in Vancouver when I first started. Fell in love with that city. Got traded there. Absolutely love Vancouver. And you and I have spent some time there together over the last few years. Tell us about Vancouver.
Yeah, it's such a tremendous, when it's a nice day out, it's literally, I don't think any city in the world pretty much rivals it. It's such a great city, and just being on the ocean, and just everyone's always outside, like biking, running. hiking, whatever it is. It's just it's a lively city. And yeah, I loved it there. The organization was great. The people there were great. Yeah, there's so much going on in that city. And yeah, like I said, I loved every minute of it.
Yeah, you can't for Canada in the wintertime on a sunny day, you can't beat it. I moved from Yellowknife, Northwest Territories, and after school, and ended up in Vancouver with my family, and my father was like, "We can't be in Canada. This is February. This doesn't exist." Where it's minus 30 or 40, and you got mountains and ocean. You could kayak in the morning. You could drive a convertible throughout the day, sit outside. Can't do that in Toronto in
Hmm.
February, I guarantee it. But
Yep.
it's in the top 10 most beautiful cities in the world. Absolutely. If we can afford to live there.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not cheap. It's not cheap. Hey, Derek, just a couple quick questions on you captain your OHL team, the Kitchener Rangers. A big fan of Ontario Hockey League. Growing up in the West, the dub is the thing out here, and it's all regional. But playing for a storied franchise, Kitchener's a storied franchise. You captain the team to a Memorial Cup. Tell us a little bit about that. I'm intrigued by Memorial Cup activity and how that's real root hockey. It's that playing the type of games you did, and the bus, because you're all in these great buses driving all across. And every time I'm in Toronto and I'm doing work up in Peterborough area, I stop in and catch the Pete's games. The barn is packed. It's still that old barn, right? And it's pretty crazy. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so when I got drafted to Kitchener, we weren't good. I don't think they made the playoffs the year before, and then my first year, we squeaked in the last playoff spot and got beat 4 straight. So, I had what was nice about that is I when I won Rookie of the Year is because I got to play quite a bit. Like I played a lot. Like I was on the first power play unit and I was playing a lot, and which gave me like confidence going into my second and third and fourth year. So like it was just we had great leaders, but we just weren't a great hockey team. And before my last year and winning the Mem Cup, I had only one playoff win in 3 years. So it's and then we
Wow.
went all the way and won the World Cup, right? So there was no progress throughout my career for our team. And we made a couple of trades. We traded for Greg Campbell. We got Dave Clarkson there, and they drafted Mike Richards, and we had Andre Beno on the team, Steve Eminger. So like we had pieces, and all of a sudden we just built, and everyone was all the 16, 17-year-olds were now 19 and 20, and then we just became like a powerhouse at that point. And, it was basically lose or bust. Like that's how we felt that year. And yeah, I think we might have swept the first round, and then we just kind of kept going and won every game in the Memorial Cup, and just kind of yeah, it was such a great season. And so many. We had Pete DeBoer and Steve Spott as our coaches too, so we were very well coached. And I think that having them come in our last my last 2 years in June, like just gave us more of a professional attitude to our team, and more of a confidence that we could actually win this. At previous, like we were just trying to go game by game and try to win every game or whatnot, but we didn't have a final goal at the end of the season. And these guys, when they came in the first day, they said like, "We're going to win the World Cup," and we were like, "What do you mean? We didn't even make the playoffs last year." You know what I mean? Like, like how are we supposed to win the world? And then it just became like that belief. And I think the more you think of stuff, and the more you believe that it could be successful and you can do it, like an end goal, I think that's what pushed us to get there, and then we end up winning.
So
Visualization, man. Yeah, visualization
Yeah.
sets that whole tone. You mentioned Pete DeBoer. So I'm shocked that he's not been picked up by somebody. I think he's a fantastic coach. I don't know what he's like personally, what he's like in the dressing room. He looks intense. Actually, he's kind of scary every once in a while looking, but he looks intense. Any insight on him?
Yeah, he's very intense. I mean, I was a captain. So what happened was when I my first year, my last year in junior, I was coming out of training camp in Buffalo, and I played all the exhibition games in Buffalo. So I missed maybe a handful of games my last year junior. And so when I came down, Mike Richards was captain. And I walk in the dressing room and Pete's like, "Hey, like, do you want to be the captain?" And I think they were about 500 at the time, like 2-2-1. And he's like, "Hey, do you want to be the captain?" I'm like, I don't want to ruffle any feathers or step on it. And he goes, "Do you want to be the effing captain or not? Like, do you want to be the fucking captain or not?" Like, and I was like, "Yes, I do." And he goes, "All right," here, and ripped the C off Richie and gave it to me. And I was just like, all right. It's just one of those where he's like, "Hey, no bullshit, man. Do you want to be it and be the leader of this team or not?" Like, it's plain and simple. There's no, and then I was like, "All right, yeah, I'll be the leader." So, um, we would go on Friday, Saturday, like we'd have games, and sometimes we'd have games on Sunday, and we'd have Monday off. So I'd go in coach's office, be like, "Hey, is it okay if the older guys go out tonight?" Because we were, 19, 20. And he's like, "Yep, just don't, no fights, don't start anything, don't do it." And I'm like, "Okay, perfect." Went out, nothing happened, won the game. Next weekend, do it again. And we won, and we kept winning. And we were like a 16 or 18 game winning streak or so. We were like really rolling. And then the one time we end up losing and I went in, he's like, "No, you're not going out." So everyone's like, "All right, guys, we had a good run here. Let's just respect the coaches. We're not going out. Just freaking go home and we'll do this again next week," or something like that. So, and then we won the Memorial Cup and we're in Quebec City and he calls me off the bus and I'm like, "Oh, it's going to be one of those speeches. Like, don't get in a fight. The other team's going to be there, blah, blah, blah." He hands me an envelope. There's probably like $3,000 cash in it. He goes, "Have fun today." And he just turned around, walked away, and I was making $50 a week, so I probably had about $45 in my bank account left. So this $3,000 really went far. So I come on the bus and everyone's cheering. "Yeah, I don't get all the money." They're all like those red $50 Canadian bills. And he's just like, all the guys were excited and pumped up. That was such a good feeling.
Yeah, it was brilliant. Maisie?
No, I was going to ask. So like Peter DeBoer and Spotter's fantastic too. When I played against those guys in junior, I was a little before you, but Spotter and we used to work in the summertime at Vern Buffy, who used to be a legendary referee in the NHL. Vern Buffy had a hockey school, and Adam Graves, Nick Kiprios, Jeff Bennick, Steve Spott, and I was just this up and coming meatball coming from Markham, not far. So, but we would train all summer and we got together. So I know those guys when we were young, and I'd watched them through, or didn't really follow them that closely, but of course they're coaches and they had success in Kitchener, and then they've had success together in the National Hockey League. They're now not together. Steve's elsewhere now, but why with all their success, can you put a thumb on it that Peter DeBoer and his program, he takes teams that are like kind of a far way away, not even teams that are actually knocking on the door, and he goes to the Stanley Cup final. And unfortunately, he hasn't been able to get the final prize, but he's been there so many times with New Jersey, with San Jose, with Dallas, Vegas.
Yeah.
This guy, that group, what makes him special?
I think he just squeezes every ounce of your talent, and I think he pushes guys to a point where they didn't think that they were good enough, or I remember the one year we played in the playoffs and I think we lost and like we lost in like 5 games or something, so we lost to Guelph. And I remember him calling me in the room and he was just like, "That's just not good enough. You just weren't." Like, I probably had like 4 or 5 points. Like, I thought, "Yeah, I played pretty good, pretty good point a game." And he was just like, "No, it's not good enough." And he goes, "You better come back next year and fucking show me, that you want to be here and be the captain and take us to Memorial Cup, because that just won't fly." And I was just kind of like, you're thinking to yourself, like, "I thought I played pretty decent." You know what I mean? And then it's coming from another guy, you're like, "Shit, well, yeah, maybe I should, get my shit together this summer and come back a little better shape. And that way, I can take this team, I'll put it on my back and go for a run," or something like that. So, he's one of those guys that just like tells you straight up and pushes you to a thing. Like, maybe like, I didn't think we'd win like, I never even thought the Mem Cup was even in the vicinity, because we won 1 playoff game in 3 years. You know what I mean? So, but he just puts it in your mind that you can do it, and he believes in you and pushes you. And I think that he does that for every player and tries to, whatever skill you have, he uses you to your best ability.
So you were telling us earlier, your son's a little guy and playing hockey, loves it. You're watching him. Now you're a father. It's a little different than maybe being a coach and somebody that's, arm's length away. What kind of inspiration does a young 5-year-old, and I know it's way too early, but how do you fire the kids up? How do you do it?
I just, I let him do his thing, and then once in a while, I'll tell him one little thing just to correct one thing, and then that's it. I kind of just let him do what like. Sometimes he's trying to kick the puck with his skates. I'm like, awesome, learn how to use your feet, whatever. And then he put one in the top corner the other day, and I taught him how to kind of like lift the puck. And so he put one in the top corner. He looked at me and you should hit the eyes and the face and the smile on his face from putting it up here. He was so excited. And the fact that you could just like, it's fun to teach something and then see it happen, and then him practicing what you're teaching and then seeing success, like he sees the success. So I could see how coaching would be rewarding, and it's always fun. I never thought I'd be like a hockey dad like that, but it's fun to watch your kid go out there and play. And he competes so hard, and like some kids are laying on the ice, they don't care, and he's just going in there and body checking guys and stealing the puck. And I'm just like, oh my God, I guess you can't teach that kind of stuff. And he just loves sports, and it's always fun to play with. He's always, Dad, let's play some hockey. And I drop everything. All right, let's go, bud. Let's go do it. So it's fun.
That is awesome. And to have the luxury to do that, I mean, that's fantastic to engage individuals and kids and into a sport that we love. And then you just see the passion kind of grow within them. It's just, yeah, it's like, it's the most incredible thing, right? And you say, look, this is why I love this sport, right?
Oh yeah.
So with the coaching, where do you think, what type of coach would you be? Would you be on the Pete DeBoer side, or would you be kind of the Mike Keenan side, or would you be kind of, the Derek Roy kind of, engaged? And give us what you would be like as a assistant coach.
Yeah, I would be very technical on certain things and power play, PK kind of stuff. 'Cause like I always love that kind of aspect of the game on how to, how to score goals and how to prevent goals, and just be, your stick or whatever it is, your body positioning, or if this guy's doing this, you have to do this, and if this guy's doing that, then you should probably do this. Kind of like I always had three options in my brain before the puck even got to me. So that, like, I was always trying to play chess, where I always knew what I was guessing what the guy was going to do before he did it, and then I would already be prepared with something I was on. Kind of like a shortstop. If there's a guy on first base or something like that, like if I get the ball, where's it going? You know what I mean? It's going to second base and it's going to first. Like we're doing double play. Like that's how baseball works. You're always ahead of the game. You're always, hey, what if I get the ball? What happens? What do I do? Or if you're a base runner, if he hits it over here, where do I go? It's kind of, I would kind of play like that. That was my thought process. So as a coach, I probably would be a lot more technical, and then I probably wouldn't lose my cool. But at some point, I think you'd have to snap case to make sure that the guys know that you're for real, right? You can't just be a pushover the whole time. At some point, you probably got to stand your ground and lose your shit on them once in a while.
Love that.
Absolutely.
Hey, you know what I love
Right?
about this is you're talking about like playing chess, passes, defending, scoring, offense. Did you ever have an afternoon where you were like, oh my God, I'm going to play against X player, and I'm going to, I know you didn't fight, but I spent a lot of afternoons where I didn't even care about them, which is really weird. And I'm so enamored with the way you just talked there, because I actually think the game like that. I do. But there was a lot of afternoons in my career where there was no puck guys. Like this was like, okay, something's going to happen tonight, and I got to make sure my energy is going to be focused in the right area, which is not playing hockey. It's about protecting your teammates or whatever. God, I wish I was a skilled little centerman that could fly like you, Derek. It sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you're more concerned about, okay, if I go against a face-off in this guy, what do I do? Or if this guy's PKing against me, I know he likes to do this, so I'm going to do that. Or last time I played against this guy, I did this, so he's probably going to think I'm going to do this. So I'm going to have to do something else. Like, you always got to keep, evolving and keep trying to change things. Can't do the same thing all the time, right? Because people have video now on you, and they'll just figure you out. So you're always trying to be creative and come up with the ways to solve whatever is in front of you, even if it's a goalie or like that goalie last time I scored on a shootout like this. He's obviously knows when I'm probably going to do that. You know what I mean? So you got to go back and in your head or like, what did I do my last like 3 shootouts? Because that's probably what he's going to
Right.
watch on his video. He's going to watch your last 3 shootouts and see exactly what you did. And you can't just do that again because he's been going to be sitting on waiting for it.
Did anybody have your number? Like, and then who did you own that maybe was always prepared to play against Derek Roy and you owned him? And this isn't about embarrassing anybody, but is there anybody that, like, for instance, I'm thinking Sidney Crosby, who was so incredible and first ballot Hall of Famer, one of the greatest players ever play, in the face-off, playing in those situations against Sidney Crosby, or who would that be for you?
Yeah, I mean, I always had good games against Toronto and Ottawa. Like, I'm from Ottawa, so obviously that put a little pep into my step. But like, I remember even exhibition, I had a 6-point game against Toronto in exhibition game. I had 3-3, and I was just like, yeah, it was, and I didn't even play the third period. Like, Lindy's like, okay, that's enough, you're done. Like, he just sat me on the bench. It's like, you're not playing anymore because like they're gonna just take a run at you or something. So I was like, okay, whatever. I had 6 points. Who cares? But it's just like, it's just one of those where like there's certain arenas, like for some reason, every time I step foot in Toronto, I was like, I'm going to score tonight. You know, I just had that feeling. Or every time I step foot in Ottawa, was like, I've had countless game winners and shootout winners and OTs, and it's one of those where you just, I don't know, there's a certain feeling that you get. I'm sure you had it when you stepped on the ice somewhere and being like, this is my bar. I own this place. You know, like that was me in Toronto for some reason. Never got to play.
I'd say most barns, Derek, but that would be a lie.
Well, Derek, talking about you did well in Toronto. I mean, I think you had back-to-back hat tricks when you're one in Toronto in one game, and then your next game you had a hat trick with Tampa, I think, or Florida.
Yeah, I think there was like there was a hat trick and then maybe a game in between and another hat trick. Yeah, I had 2 hat tricks in like in like the same week or something. That was pretty
That's
cool.
incredible.
Talk about
Hey,
an
what-
overachiever, but talking about how you pre-think your moves. I mean, in fact, that would probably help you in what you're doing, your determination, because you've got a perception of what you're going to do or what the reaction is. So when you're talking about the chess move, it's you're anticipating what you're going to do. So your thinking is going to be much quicker, I would suspect, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think like in hockey, you don't have time to think, right? It's more read and react to whatever's thrown in front of you, and then you just play within your system. So there's a system in place, and then everything else is just read and react. You can't always just be like standing. I got to stand right here. You know, the puck might squeak by or whatever. You got to be ready for anything. So I think, but if you're mentally prepared for what the other person's going to do before he does it, I think you got such a bigger advantage, right? And knowing who you're playing against is knowing who's on the ice is such a big thing too. Like Mayday's on the ice, I'm keeping my head up. You know what I mean? Like I gotta make sure that he's not gonna take it off. So you always have to know, like Scott Stevens is on the ice. You know when he's, you're not cut across the middle when he's on the ice. So yeah, it's one of those Nicholas Kronwall. If you're a winger, you don't want to get friggin' Kronwalled. So yeah, those Garnet XLB was another guy that liked to do like open ice hits.
He buried me one night, Royce.
XLB?
I'm playing for the Colorado Avalanche. It's actually one of the funniest things. It was 3 guys, Ian LaPerriere, Bob Bugner, and myself. Or sorry, Dan Highnote, Bob Bugner, and myself. I went to hit XLB in the middle of the ice. He's playing for Atlanta, and he buries me. Yeah. I went to hit him. I get knocked down. I get up from my being knocked down. Bobby Bugner runs at him. He gets knocked down, and then Danny Highnote. And all 3 of us, it was like a comedy of errors. The 3 of us were on our ass, and XLB was like this big beast. He was a big hitter for sure.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, and these guys, like you got to be ready. Yeah, you got to be ready. You got to know who's on the ice, right? Like, I always knew which big defenseman. Like, you're playing against Pronger. Like, if you're going in the corner, you better, Chara was like. Well, you obviously know when Chara's on the ice. He takes up the whole friggin' D zone. So, you got to be ready to play against those guys.
Hey, Rocco, one of my favorite things. I love sayings, and I love motivational quotes. Well, I don't know. I go back to these things, but you got to see it. And this is speaking for what Derek just said. You got to see it, and then you got to believe it before you can conceive it. And that's the quote. And you spoke like, really, that's exactly what you do. the whole foreshadowing, the preparation before the game in the afternoon, night before, thinking all the time what your options are, what you can do, where you're going to go. And then you got to believe you can do it. And if those two things fall into place, then you have an opportunity, you have a chance. That's my other one, is a man with a plan has a chance.
Yeah. Like, I
Absolutely.
mean, sometimes it happens exactly how you think it. It's just like hitting a golf shot. Like, how many times did you like, okay, I could do this? And then you just put it in your head, I could do it. And then you hit it. It's exactly what you thought you were going to do, or a putt or whatever. Right. And I feel like if you think like, oh no, I'm going to put it in the pond, you're going to probably put it in the pond. Right. Like, it's just, you got to visualize what you're going to do. And then when you get the chance, like you said, then you're already prepared, and then you just do it.
Love that, Roisy.
Yeah.
Rocco, this guy truly, and I skate with him every once in a while. We play some charity stuff now, and we've been in Vancouver doing and raising money and being part of this wonderful hockey community. This guy, Derek Roy, incredible player. Darty, quick, smart, cerebral player. Even playing with a bunch of retired guys.
Retired 65-year-olds.
You outthink us. Maybe we drank more than you the night before, but you outthink us for sure. Good player.
Yeah. No way you outdrank me.
So what was your guys' last game together where you guys did a charity event?
We were in Vancouver. I believe Vancouver would be the last one.
Yeah, Vancouver, and like, was it November or something?
November, yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's a number of things here. There's a number of tournaments here in Toronto, and that will probably meet up at some point in time. But there's a lot of guys, and there's only so many spots, and we still play a little bit.
Great.
You play more than me, but you play on that Wednesday morning, and I'm going to do that too with you guys. I just haven't been able to get out there.
Yeah, let's get you out there. It's fun.
I actually have to lose a couple pounds before I step in front of Gary Roberts. He intimidates me. He'll walk by me.
He, like you said, he looks like he's playing in the NHL, man. He's in great shape. Holy
Rocco,
crap.
he's ripped. This guy's ripped. No. But he'll walk by and he'll pinch my side, and I don't like that. I'm really sensitive.
Yeah, we got to get you out there, man.
Your head. He's already gotten in your head with that, brother. That's what he's doing. It is great. NHL Winter Classic. I think it's this month in Vancouver. They, how they go around the Shoresy TV show, are playing. I think they're playing the Canucks alumni on the 26th or something like that. I think we're going to go.
Oh,
to that
really?
game.
We played them in Buffalo last year. It was great.
You did?
Yeah. The place was packed, and it was like, you were there, Mayday, right?
No, I didn't. I haven't done that. I was invited to that. I just couldn't make it.
Yeah, it was awesome. Like, it was actually kind of cool to step foot back on the ice in Buffalo and play in front of a crowd. Like, it was kind of cool to kind of been back at the the rink in forever, right? So it's just kind of cool to be in front of your fans and score and make a pass or whatever, and hear the fans. But it brought out quite a bit of people. It was like, I think it was almost packed. It was pretty cool.
It has got a following, like, it's crazy. There's, Detroit was packed. Wherever they play, they're packed. They do a lot of the original six as well. But, we had Morassi on the pod last year, and he's part of that group. And such great following with the process and how hockey is. My daughter's watched it and is this all Canadian hockey players? I go, no, but it's kind of a lot of us.
We had to beat them. We had to beat them, though. We couldn't let those guys beat us. We're like, hey, all right, guys, we're not letting these guys win. So it's,
yeah. Any interesting stories of the KHL?
I mean, yeah, it was pretty like the Wild West over there. Like, I remember just getting into like a fender bender accident with like, we had our own driver, and our driver got out of the car and started talking Russian to this guy, and he just handed him like some cash, and just kind of like went their separate ways. And I'm like, what the hell just happened? Like, I got traded to a team, and when I played there, they already had all my bank accounts opened and all my pins and everything. And they're like, here's your card, here's your credit card, here's your debit card, here's your bank account. And then I was just like, how did you open up an account without me? It was it was interesting. It was awesome though. It was a great experience.
Yeah, we took one of the spies that was just cracked into the government network. We're just taking care of this right now.
Oh yeah, it was.
Typical Russians. Love it.
Yeah, it was a blast. I mean, Moscow and St. Petersburg and cities like that, like we were all, and they were great. Like I said, it was an interesting thing, but